Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce, and I'm here with
Jace Marsiglia.
And you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
You are, and we're in Dark Delicacies with Mr. Del Howison. Thanks for having us, buddy.
Thanks for wanting to talk.
Of course.
Next time we'll get tables instead of sitting on the floor. This would be good.
It is kind of a love-in right now. It feels, my shoes are over there.
There you go.
This is exactly what I want.
It's kind of a yoga feel going
on. It does.
On
it's
here.
very relaxed. I was a little... For a minute, I didn't know what we were doing, but I'm down.
I am sitting akimbo.
He is.
Yeah.
Akimbo.
He is akimbo.
Yeah.
If he levitates, I'm out of here.
That's
No, when I first met you, you told me that you were from Michigan.
right.
And the Ann Arbor area, Ypsi area, was it?
Sometimes.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because we did talk about the, the Ypsi water tower, a.k.a.
That's right. Ipsy-tucky.
Ipsy-tucky and its big penis.
Right.
Yeah,
I must have missed that.
No, it's a Eastern Michigan University story.
Yep.
That's where Eastern Michigan University is located, and they have a tower on the edge of town, which is a great title for a movie.
It is.
Tower on the edge of town.
On the edge of town.
And it's shaped like a big dick.
It is.
Okay.
It goes up like that, and then the roof is like a turret roof,
Yep.
kind of a castle roof, but it comes out over the thing, so it's like the German helmet head.
Are you shitting me?
I'm not kidding you at all.
And the legend is, if a virgin ever graduates from Eastern Michigan University, the tower will fall down.
So it's safely standing.
Oh, it's erect,
Yeah, so to speak.
so to speak.
And it's right next to U of M, who doesn't have any kind of thing like that.
Yeah, there's no U of M dick.
No.
There's just
Although
the
they do
Ypsi
have a
dick.
lawyer's school. So
That's
in
true.
essence,
That's a
there
building.
It's very close.
It's kind of a box of dicks.
I mean,
a box of dicks. We love you, Michigan. It's okay.
it sounds like it. It sounds like Michigan's getting the love.
It is.
It
It is. But the one thing, what blew my mind the last time I was here was you had told me and Harry, we were talking about it, about the work you did in the automotive industry doing, was it films for...
Industrials.
Industrial films.
Industrials we were talking
That
about.
blew my mind. That was really cool.
Because that's a whole field nobody thinks about.
Right.
Industrial, because you still need the talent agent, and
Yep.
you still need, representation of some sort. And what they do, industrials include things like you go to the auto dealer, and they had brochures and stuff, but they also have a little video sometimes. Oh, here's how you use our new van.
Yeah.
And there'll be a guy in a work outfit with a flat of flowers, putting it in the back and closing the door and driving away. That's an industrial. And I got used one time for a Buick Skylark
Really?
because I am short of stature
Okay.
to a degree. And
To a degree.
wait, my wife is laughing at me.
I was going to say there was a bit of a chortle in the background.
And I meant my body. We're not back at Eastern Michigan here. Okay, so they would put me in the front seat of like a Buick Skylark with a lady who was also diminutive in stature. And then look at this roomy car.
Yeah.
Look at how much room in here.
It was the selling point.
It was the
Just
selling
look at all the
point.
space we get.
Del, do you have leg room? Oh, plenty.
Plenty.
I can stretch my legs.
I'm
right
kicking them.
now.
How do you get involved with something like that?
Well, it's just your regular talent agent. They'll
Okay.
say, "Oh, there's an audition for a movie. There's an audition for a TV show. Oh, they want to shoot a couple industrials. Have that
No
one.
kidding.
What?
You
I
were
was a hand model.
You were a
once.
hand model? I
I
knew they
was.
were familiar.
I can't. Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
I was hand modeled for.
Recently.
I think. And that's when she says, "Pull your hand out of your." No. I think it was a morning newspaper, and I think don't get me wrong out there, Houston morning newspaper.
Houston,
And they
okay.
had a shot of from over my shoulder, the breakfast plate with the silverware and stuff, and a newspaper laying on it, and I had to pick it up and tip it towards the camera.
Of course.
It took me all fucking day because it was the first commercial I ever did, and you couldn't read the newspaper because I was shaking. Yeah.
You were nervous?
I was scared to death on that one.
Even though it was just hands?
It was just hands, and I was like, because I wanted to get it perfect. I'd never done one before.
Yeah.
I hadn't shot anything except, industrial
Industrial
in
films.
Michigan. So yeah, this was my first kind of Hollywood job.
Okay. Okay.
So you had an agent even in Michigan then?
I did.
Were you pursuing?
I was.
Okay.
I did voice, so I was the voice of Alpine Stereo, which I don't think exists anymore. I managed to
wow.
knock them out of business. And Shrine Circus.
Okay.
These were radio commercials, so it was all VO stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then knowing there was a big future in it, I didn't do that anymore until I moved out here. And now I'm having troubles with SAG because of it. 40 years
Are
later.
you serious?
Yeah.
Even now? Huh?
Yeah, because that was AFTRA.
Okay.
And that was before AFTRA and SAG got together as a single union.
Right.
So I said to SAG, I had just shot a film, and I had, directors writing in and going, yeah, we Taft-Hartley'd him, and he worked for us enough times. And so I get in touch with SAG, and SAG says, oh, it looks like you've been in the union prior. I said, I can almost remember 40 years, 50 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in SAG, I was in AFTRA. You guys merged after I left, and she said, well, first we have to find out how you left. I said, what do you mean, how I left? She said, did you just walk out? Did you just quit paying dues? Did you give a formal notice? What did you do? I said, I don't know what the hell I did. I didn't work anymore.
I just,
So then she said, well, we're going to have to look into this. Took 3 phone calls out here to the West Coast SAG, like 3 phone calls over the period of 9 months.
Oh, man.
And finally I called, we'll call you back in a couple of weeks once we look into this.
Oh,
so
of course.
I get in touch with them finally the last time. I go, what the hell is going on? You guys can't. Well, it turns out that you were working in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
So that's East Coast SAG, not West Coast SAG. So you have to call East Coast SAG, i.e., start the process all over again.
Exactly.
So I called East Coast SAG. Oh, that was a long time ago. I said, thank you.
Yeah.
No, that was...
Insult to injury.
Now that you're done buttering me up, can we get to business here?
I'm feeling good about this.
Yeah, this is going great.
She said, none of that is on computer. Your membership would be on microfiche. Didn't we call it microfilm? They call it microfiche.
They call it micro. I've seen it microfiche, and that's where you scroll through all these newspapers.
Like at the library looking for a newspaper
exactly.
article.
That's
it's like Shaggy and Velma and Scoob.
Oh, yeah.
So she said that is like out of town, 40 miles out of New York where we are.
Yeah.
And one of us has to drive out there and look this up.
Holy
And
cow.
I said, okay. That wasn't what she wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But she said, we have 4 or 5 other cases, and I'm thinking, and how long have they been on hold?
Right.
So one of us, there's only 2 of us in the office. So one of us is going to have to go out there, make that drive, and take a day just for, it was like your stupid fucking membership.
Right.
So I said, all right. She goes, let us do that. And then when we get it and we come back, we'll get in touch with the 4 or 5 of you that we're doing this for, and we'll go on with the thing.
Yeah.
In the meantime, because she was doing me a big favor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You can do SAG for 30 days. I said, you mean 30 days from now? She said, no. I mean, you get a SAG job, you can do a 30, which in my case, that's like 12 films.
Yeah.
But you can do like 30 days. So I said, cool. I haven't worked since. And, but it's there. If
you
I
can use
want
it.
it.
You can use it.
It's on.
For 30 days, you producers. Here's a catch.
Yeah.
And I have never heard from him again. And after all those phone calls, all that runaround, I finally just said to hell with it.
Sure.
Wow.
I don't know if those other people got any satisfaction.
Yeah.
Because after that, then it was a year and the actors went on strike. How much do you think SAG's paying attention to my case?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I mean, isn't it like only 2% of SAG is working?
Making a living.
Yeah, making a living.
Making a living.
That's what it was.
They're all
Yeah.
working. One of them I saw at a school as a janitor. He was working.
He was working all right.
Yeah.
He was getting. He was
But
getting
yeah,
his-
making a living wage off acting, it's like 2% of them.
That's insane.
That is
That's
insane.
absolutely
Watch, we'll get a
insane.
phone call. You'll get nasty letters, and
Oh,
it'll
I
be
know.
from SAG, and they'll be going, 9%.
Yeah.
Like, that is better.
That's way better. That's way better. That makes me want to pay more dues.
Yeah. I think after this, I'll never get in SAG now.
Yeah. I hope you don't have plans on getting in SAG.
Yeah, no sweat.
You're fucked.
He's just doing the VOs right now.
Yeah, you know.
And he's trying to become a hand model, I think.
I think so. That's
It's a good start.
It's a real good start. It's not bad. I'm not real cracked
You
yet.
do have
so
very nice hands.
they're not bad.
Very
I'm too
babyish.
old to be a hand model now because there's the occasional spot and bulbous vein and stuff like that.
You know, I mean, you got the spots for the AARP commercials.
That's it.
You know, you can hang out with
Put
Tom
makeup
Selleck.
on to do a younger
Yeah.
one. I never thought about AARP industrials. That could,
Whole new
Wow.
avenue.
Yeah. It takes longer to film them.
He goes, yeah. You could take over where Tom Selleck left off and say, "Have you heard of a reverse mortgage?"
That's right. You know, and they're telling me they love it.
I know. I've heard from all of
I've
my
heard from every client, and they
whatever
love it.
friends I have left that they love the hell out of it.
They do. They're homeless, but they love it.
Wow. So in addition to everything else you were doing back in Michigan, how long before you came out here? Did you garner a lot of notoriety or did bigger projects?
Yeah, you see my name on billboards.
Yeah.
Did you hear that guffaw from the background again
I
from
did.
my wife?
That's what made me lose.
I think that's
my shit.
that was just something from the
I
levels. I'm
think
sure.
it was
You know.
because you used the word garner.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I garnered a lot of notoriety. I skirted mobile homes for a while.
Okay.
That was good. Can cut your fingers
The
up
sag-
on
oh,
the
they're terrible.
metal. It's terrible.
They're absolutely terrible.
And I didn't like that, so I went into being the laborer for a tile guy, and you have to put lathe up on the bathroom walls before you mud them.
Right.
That can cut your hands
That'll
up,
cut
too.
you.
That'll
Yeah,
cut you
that'll
in a
cut you.
second.
Not
Yeah.
fun.
There goes
Yeah.
my
I
hand
was going to
modeling.
say, I'm like, wait a minute, they were setting you up to fail.
That was another reason I was nervous. I had to keep my fingers
They
behind the
ruined your
paper
career.
so they
You
didn't
said-
see the scars.
Listen, fellas, can you step in and do this? I'm a hand model
Yeah.
by trade.
Can I
And
get
I really,
gloves?
I can't be doing this.
I can't. You don't know who I am.
Well, you don't know.
You don't know what I've garnered.
You don't recognize
right.
these beauties and what they've paid
I
for.
think that's my birthstone.
It's garnered.
Garners.
This is what Dell has garnered.
That's it. So,
So-
yeah, no, I mean, I did a lot of theater.
Okay.
Did you? Okay.
Musical dinner theater.
Okay.
The theater company I worked for back there was Theater of the Arts, and at the time they had 5 theaters, 2 of them in the Detroit area, and the rest were like resort theaters around Traverse City and, up there in the northern part of Michigan, Cherry Hill Playhouse area, which I was not in the Cherry Hill Playhouse.
No.
I was in the restaurant down the street going, "Can you not clink your glasses? We're saying lines here." So it was good.
Hang on. They're singing happy birthday
In fact,
to someone up there.
Ray Wise and I, one
Really?
night, in the middle of a big rainstorm here in the store, since nobody was showing up for the signing because they would float away, I happened to have a case of beer in the back.
Yeah.
And Ray and I told old stories, and he worked at the Cherry Hill Playhouse.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we told theater stories, the successes and the failures. So half of that I was talking about, and
Yeah.
half of that he was talking about. It was
No, that's awesome. So there was several years, I would imagine, right? Or
of
Theater.
the
of theater and that kind of
industrial?
stuff. And then I worked in the theater as PR director for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I worked at the Attic Theater in Greektown in Detroit
Oh,
for
wow.
a year as a PR person.
Okay.
And did a couple of shows at the time it was called the Renaissance Theater in the Renaissance Center in Detroit, that big tall
Yep.
building on the river there.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I kind of I was moving, and that was the end of that.
Was it a straight shot from Michigan to California, or did you bop around a little bit?
Well, I had college in Arkansas.
Okay.
The garden spot of college. So I
Yeah.
did that. That was private Christian college. That was
Okay.
John Brown University.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was a little hardcore.
Christian college.
Christian college. Yeah.
How long did you go there?
I didn't want to go there.
Yeah, I was starting to see where the pivot to horror came from.
Yeah.
But my parents they said, we'll pay for college
Uh-huh.
if you go to a Christian college.
No kidding.
So the one I found furthest from home was in Arkansas.
Okay.
So I went to John
You wanted
Brown
the
University. Yeah.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I went
Okay.
the first year, and then after the first year, I didn't want to go anymore, but they wanted me to go.
Yeah.
So I said, well, they can't send me back if I flunk out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the first half of the second year, I flunked out.
No kidding.
Yeah, like they expect you to show up and shit like that, and I
that's-
wasn't into that part of it.
I wish I could have seen that
We
shit.
don't play that game.
I wish I could have seen that.
That was it. So
So you got no awards in college.
Not
no, I can't. You mean like academic?
Yeah.
No awards.
He's like, I learned the Apostles'
I
Creed.
did work for their radio station and had a regular shift. So for a year and a half, I was a DJ, and that was kind of fun. I learned the boards, I learned the stuff, did my own program, became an announcer for a while, became the news announcer on the radio for a while.
Yeah.
I did a lot of radio, which I don't think exists anymore. I don't know. It was a good training ground for nothing.
Now we're doing this.
Now we're doing streaming, and we're doing satellite radio
Yes.
like XM and that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then came back from college to Michigan, and then I went in the Army.
Okay.
So that was good. In fact, I don't know if you remember or not, in 1972, you had that one night where you slept really good. That was me. I was on guard duty that night.
He was guarding.
Yeah.
That was great. My folks still talk about the night in '72 like it was the greatest night ever.
The greatest night of sleep.
Another
holy
film title, The Night of the Placid.
The Night of
Because
the Placid.
I had that covered.
It was tranquil.
It was easy that night, yeah. When I came out of there, I was home for a little while, and I said, fuck this. I remember why I went in the Army, to get away from this in the
Yeah.
first place.
What was the
Sure.
Army like for you?
The Army was okay for me because I was in PIO. I was in Public Information Office.
Okay.
So I was in an Army aviation
Okay.
group. So I flew with the colonel every day in a Huey helicopter, and we went all around.
Wow.
And when you're up there in Germany and you're looking down, it looks like hobbits should be running
Oh,
around the
wow.
countryside.
Yeah,
Is
crazy.
really cool.
Yeah.
Really
Pretty
looks
cool
good.
looking.
And then I'd take Grip and Grimm's, him and a German colonel.
Yeah.
And they would be going, and that was a grip and grin, and
Yeah.
I would take the photo, and then they would go in Stars and
Yeah.
Stripes or somewhere. So,
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
And every time they went out on field duty, I went, gosh, I'd like to come, but I have to develop that load of film. So I got out of a lot of shit that way.
I'm fighting the war here,
That's
guys.
awesome.
You
Yeah,
just-
I'm fighting the good war.
I'm fighting the good war.
I mean, that's the kind of war hero I'd be.
Nobody's gonna know any of this happened if I don't do my job.
That's right.
That's
Because
So you guys get out there and make
I'm
me
fighting
proud.
the propaganda war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're on the
So it
front
seems
line.
like there's always been some sort of touch to media or entertainment
It
or
is,
something.
and
yeah.
I don't know why. I think just that you didn't have to go to trade school for that.
Right.
That's-
Right.
Yeah.
And just being creative.
But I took acting.
being able to talk.
And being able to talk.
Yep.
What is that? A
Producer
hand
credit.
puppet
We
she's
got
doing
a,
over there
yeah,
with the,
we got a producer credit.
I did do some classes. I took a Shakespeare class from Michael Moriarty.
Oh, really?
was kind
Oh,
of
that's cool.
Wow.
I took improv class from Del Close of Second City. You know, so I had some good credits. I worked with Jonathan Round in Detroit for a while. We did the Grosse Pointe Theater, an original musical about punk rock, stuff like that. I played a character named Loose Leaf.
Loose leaf.
Loose Leaf. And my group was called The Binders.
Oh, that
Loose
sounds
Leaf
rad.
and the Binders.
Binders.
Yeah, there you go. And
You
the
don't want
heavy guy was
You don't
named-
want to run into loose leaf in the
No,
binders
no,
on
you
the
don't wanna-
street in
no.
a dark alley at night.
And the heavy guy, his name was Pork Chop. Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Why not?
You,
Absolutely
you
right.
guys didn't want to call him
wouldn't it be?
Slim?
You got it.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a
so,
lot.
what was it that was like calling to you? You know, out of all the stuff you were doing, because I mean,
Escape.
radio and
It was literally just to move
There
on.
was no one thing where you're like, I think I want to settle on this.
No,
or,
but growing up in Michigan, I'd watch the Academy Awards. Not saying I'm shooting for the Academy
Okay.
Awards, but they would always be on the red carpet, and it would be warm.
Uh-huh.
And I would be in, February or whatever. Dead of winter, March, whatever it was.
Gray slush.
Okay.
Gray slush that would freeze at night and re-soften in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it had to have looked much better than what we were sitting.
Wow. So
And it
you
still
did do
does.
some film, though, stuff back east, right?
Some film.
Yeah.
Not really anything of note. I mean, in fact, when I came out here, I did one of the last 8mm movies filmed.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
What were you doing on that?
I played a vampire. I think my name was Falstaff. And the guy, it was called Loose Fangs.
What?
Limp Fangs. That's it.
Limp Fangs.
Limp Fangs. And it was about a guy who was a vampire, and he wasn't a vampire at the time. He was a drunk. Same thing.
Yeah. He had to get his fix one way or the other.
And when he died, they buried him near this tree.
Okay.
And then years later, I was a vampire, because actually the story was vampires were like a branch of the government.
Okay.
They were a group like any other group.
Right.
And I leaned against the tree and I took a leak.
Okay.
And it trickled down on him and brought him back to life. It was a very involved plot.
It's not the champagne that Christopher Lee would come back to. You know, the blood that trickles into the moat.
Right. Yeah,
So this wasn't a Hammer film.
No, it wasn't a Hammer
film.
film.
It was a film about being hammered.
It is a Hammer film in some respects.
It was a hammered film.
It was a Hammer film.
God, somebody's
Christopher
pissing on my
Michael
grave.
was the actor. He's still doing stuff. He plays a lot of people, like the guard at the gate, and you drive in and he's in uniform, because he always looks very military.
Okay.
But he produced it and he arranged it and we shot it. There was a pretty good cast. Michael DeBar was in it, and some other people. It was complete nonsense, but it was fun. And it was my first shot at making a film here.
Sure.
At that point, you're ready to say, I don't like oatmeal cookies, but I'll eat that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess what was the draw to horror that led to Dark Delicacies?
Always had a draw.
Just always loved
Always
it.
liked horror.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the barrack, in fact, specifically on that night when you didn't have any problems.
Exactly.
I was doing guard duty
Thank
at the barrack.
The night of
at the front door. 72. Yeah, that's right. And I was reading the 72, 73, whenever it came out, The Shining. I was reading the book on guard duty. And you could have probably walked in behind me because I was involved. But I mean, I was always reading horror. And then when I met my wife, Sue, she was into horror as books and stuff. She read a lot of Kuntz and King and that kind of thing. It just kind of evolved from there.
All right. The next question, I guess, would be, what made you go store?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Because you could very well have been like, I'm going to stick with horror, but I'm going to stay in movies.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think you kind of did, though,
I'll write
right?
for
I mean,
a magazine,
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know shit from Shinola about opening a store.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't like, you know what? We need to take a college course on opening a store.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
No, you were going to learn about this.
We would learn it on the
Alabama.
job because, that's the best way to learn anything.
Hands-on.
That's right. And
Just
go
do
broke at the same time.
Go broke. Yep.
So we opened, one day I was driving, right, just blocks from here. Mm-hmm. See where we are, everybody? Well, just blocks from here.
Just blocks from here.
You see where he's pointing.
In fact, right over there.
Right there.
Yeah. I was driving, and there was a for lease sign in the front of a store in a little strip mall. So I went in, and the guy was there, and we looked at it, and it was cool and stuff. And I went home, and I said to Sue, I found your store. And she's like, what?
Well, were you guys collectors?
Yes.
Okay.
We were book collectors and movie collectors and stuff at that time. Once we got the store, we didn't collect anything.
That's exactly how it
Yeah.
So we leased it, and it was our first store, and we opened the store with, I had $5,000 and our own collection, and that was the first store.
That was it?
Yeah, and then we had a friend by the name of Jay Patton, who owned Bint Cover in Phoenix, Arizona, and he moved to a new store. It was a used bookstore.
Yeah.
And when he moved to the new store, he got all new racking. So one day we're in there painting and doing all of that shit before we open, and this van pulls up outside, and it's Jay. He drove in from Phoenix. He goes, "Here's all my old shelving." It was wall shelving. And
Yeah. And you didn't know it was coming.
we didn't know it was coming, and he put it all down. He goes, "Okay, see, you got back in the van and drove
Are
to
you
Phoenix."
kidding me?
No.
That's awesome.
Straight into town and then straight out.
Yep, that
And it
was
was
it.
just a surprise.
It was a surprise. It was like, here's a gift.
Oh my God. That had to feel great.
That's you could almost chalk that to a good omen. You're just like
He's driving away, and I'm like, but who's going to put it up?
You mean I got to do work and shit?
this is neat and all, but
You're assuming I have a screwdriver.
I'm holding a roller.
Thanks for nothing, I guess.
Oh, great. I've dripped all over the floor because of you distracting me.
Thanks a lot.
So, yeah, that was an amazing gift, and that's what friendship is all about. You
definitely,
know?
yeah.
And,
So
and
even-
that was very cool.
So when you were here, were you still acting and doing that stuff as
Oh,
well?
I was still working full-time down in the garment district in
Okay.
L.A. I did that for 16 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What were you doing down there?
According to my boss, nothing.
Nothing. Well, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I worked on the machine end and the parts end. So, like, I covered 7 states. So, like, if I was in Texas,
Okay.
I would be dealing with aerospace people, and they have to have things that snap into the cabin and,
Wow.
and into that kind of. If I'm in Colorado, I'm working with the outfitters.
Okay.
You know, because they're making coats and stuff for hikers and snowshoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent a winter day in Leadville, Colorado, which, thank God, the bar was still open because it's cold up there. I don't know if
Cold
you've
as
heard. It's like one of the highest spots
Yep.
in the continental United
Really?
States. Yeah, and it was real cool. But I was working with a guy that made snowshoes.
Wow.
At that time, the right snap so the binding stays on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it was here, it would be like, Doc Johnson was one of my customers.
No kidding.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know who Doc Johnson is, he is the maker of many sex toys, or the company is. It's not a he; it's a company.
Yeah.
Wow. And they make dildos and wind-up weenies and all that kind of, you know.
Good
You know,
shit.
God's work.
Yeah. So
God's
they're
work.
doing that, and they needed machines that put like snaps on the leather harnesses you would wear
Yeah.
for fun and enjoyment.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
For
kind
sure.
of thing. So I had to get the right snaps. And if a machine went down, then I had to fix the machine because if they're not buying snaps, I'm not making money.
Sure.
So you go in, you fix the machine, and then they're buying snaps again. And
Right.
you're like, I had no machine training. I knew nothing about
Oh,
diddly squat.
man.
And after. I don't like getting my hands dirty or greasy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a mechanic.
Who does?
Yeah. Who likes that
He
stuff?
was a hand model.
I'm a
people.
hand,
He's
do,
a
do
hand
people
model.
keep forgetting
He said,
that?
this
know.
machine broke. What am I supposed
What is
You want
going
me to
on?
put this in there?
I gotta forget it.
So, I had to take care of that stuff. And after I was there about 10 years, they said, "Oh, we're going to start this training thing." And I said, "You think?
Oh, geez. So
would be
am I the
great.
guy
It's
who's
a
going to be training
is that a
everybody?
little late?
Am I teaching? No, you're
Yeah.
learning."
Oh,
Oh,
good.
that'll
good.
be the day.
Okay,
But yeah,
great.
so I went away for a week for training and didn't know anything when I came back. And
Wow.
6 years later, I quit the place because But when we had the store and it was open, I was working full time doing that.
Yeah.
And Sue, my wife, was working full time at Nestle's headquarters in Glendale. And so I would have to, I'm supposed to be out on the road calling on clients. I'd go to my new store and stand behind the counter and call my clients from the store. Just a minute. Yeah, the massacre stuff's over there in the back aisle on that.
Yeah.
And that's how we hired some people now and then. It never worked out in the beginning and stuff.
Right.
So eventually we both quit it and worked Dark
I mean, how
Delicacies
long did
full
you
time.
guys bust your ass on that schedule?
Because that's
5 years?
Oof,
She started full time at this store. Yeah.
So probably about 5 years.
About 5 years she was in, and then the next year, because we wanted to make sure
Unbelievable.
we still had some income steady.
Yeah.
That's a long time to burn the candle at both ends, though, man.
Yeah.
That's
But you do that when you start something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your
Right,
enterprise,
right, right.
Doing it right now.
The announcement for us, of course, is that a year from next month, which would be April of 24, a year from that, so April of 25, is the last month in business because we're retiring. That's 30 plus years.
It is.
Wow.
That's a long time to run the store.
It's a very long
Two
time.
people.
It's
We've had
such
help from friends and stuff, but
It's a great run, though.
it's a good long run. And my personal feeling is that we changed the pop culture of horror with our business. A lot of this stuff we carry didn't even exist. Manufacturers weren't thinking of making it exist.
Sure.
Until they found out there was a market for it. We were kind of the guinea pigs.
Oh, you were the pioneers.
Yeah.
In fact, we went to a show first to see if any other idiots were interested in this product.
Right.
Because
Sure.
we did not know.
Yeah.
And it was a little Comic-Con in a conference room at a Red Lion Inn. I don't
Okay.
even think there's still Red Lion Inns.
Yeah.
And we did that for 2 days and go, oh, yeah, I think that looks like $1 billion business to me from
Yeah.
one table at a Comic-Con.
Right.
And that's where it grew out of. There wasn't horror cons.
Right.
Then
No.
it was kind of, they started the Fangoria cons that
Okay.
Sure.
traveled around, and then
Yeah.
they went out of business or whatever happened. What was the company that ran those, the Fangoria?
Creation?
Creation, yeah, it was the Creation con. But now they do things like Xena.
Oh, do they?
And all that kind of stuff.
So it's a little
Yeah.
more Comic-Con.
And then it became more con than con. But anyway,
Yeah.
I got a gold pass. I get first to pay the big bucks. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So, but then we went to a couple others, put at a table and some of those, and it all grew up. We weren't responsible for the entire industry growing, but it really was a catalyst for a lot of things that
It had
happened.
to show
and
the need is there, the want.
the desire to own that stuff.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't know we could own that stuff.
And the-
Right.
and the thing was, from what it sounded like, that first wave of sales was all your personal collection. You know,
Yeah.
you would just
It was a wonderful thing because they'd come in, oh, look at this book. I'll buy this book. And then my wife would sell them the book. They'd leave. She'd go in the back room and cry. She just sold part of her collection. Then she'd come back out and sell them another book.
That's the sad thing. I'm sitting here like, oh man, I'd have to watch this stuff go, but that's the collector in me, of course. You know? But
Right. So
if you're
all
getting
the stuff
something
that you
started-
spent years collecting, because we loved estate sales and we loved
Yeah.
library sales and
Right.
all where you could find all this kitschy kind of stuff that no one was interested in.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you get it all together, and then you have to, okay, here, I'll sell it to you.
I know. Did you ever buy any of it back? Any specific items that you were like,
I don't think so.
you know what, we're doing okay enough. I want
want
that
it back.
I
I
want
need this
that
back.
edition back even, just
Well, the other thing is we live in California in an apartment, right? Uh-huh. So as far as storage,
storage is tight.
we were
Yeah.
smart enough to understand that if you had to rent a storage unit, it was going to cost you more for that item every day, every year.
Just to house it.
Absolutely.
Just to house it, and you weren't going to look at
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
it's in a box.
You're gonna
and
forget about
You're
it.
going to forget about it, and then someday you're going to go, we need to clean out that storage unit.
Yeah.
And then you go, I bought this for $12, but I think I've paid about $50 for it now.
Yeah, exactly.
I've made this item worthless.
I've made the item worth. To
Yeah.
me, it's worthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot, and we took some consignment in the beginning because that helps make your stock mass
Okay.
larger.
Okay.
That helps, and it gives other people who want to sell something an outlet. And then
Right.
we gradually weeded that back out because the bookkeeping is a real pain in the ass.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That kind of thing. But we tried a lot of tricks, and sometimes we hit things that weren't right. I think the biggest mistake we did was, let's get something with a name that appeals to the whole family. Because one thing about Dark Delicacies, it's not just a grown-ups place.
Sure.
There's kids section.
Of course,
There's this and that. So we ordered in a ton of Grinch stuff when Jim Carrey was
Okay.
doing the Grinch. Plushies and this and that. And then in July, we're looking at these. Now we have these year-old plushies
Oh,
and this
my
and that.
God.
I mean, that was, and what it taught us, because you have to make the mistake to learn.
Sure.
What it taught us was don't buy on the trends. Buy
Okay.
what you know.
Right.
Create the things and make it happen that way. And then our biggest salvation is the signing events.
Yeah.
How did that start?
It started because of the bookstore over in West Dangerous Visions, which was
Okay.
on Ventura. going towards Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys, over in that area. And we had gone to some bookstores. They'd have an author. I didn't know authors did signings
Okay.
when I moved
Yeah.
out here. So we would go out there and, oh, look, it's Harlan Ellison.
Yeah.
Because they were sci-fi and horror, but they were really sci-fi oriented.
Okay. Okay.
And then when we opened this store, it was like, we should do that. We should have people in the horror field come
Yeah.
in. And initially, it was kind of authors, although Sarah Karloff was one of our first signers.
Okay.
Sure.
But she was a name. She was
Yeah.
available. She was nice. Let's do it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But it was mainly authors. It was basically authors.
Okay.
And then it started spreading out. Oh, I've got this film. I could get some of the cast, and Sue has been running that and in charge of that really since it began.
Okay.
And from that, she got to the point of us not waiting for, the new Winnie the Pooh cut their heads off, movie is coming. It's, let me think of an event I can create.
Okay.
Look, we've got St. Patty's Day coming up. Let's do a leprechaun thing,
Yeah.
or whatever. And she would start thinking
Just
about
pre-planning
events
stuff
And
and-
now, if you look at our signing event sheet, here we are at the beginning of March 24, as I said when we recorded this. I think there is something every weekend
Oh yeah.
for the next
You guys are
months.
It's jammed.
And
Yeah.
she's working extra hard because she wants to jam it for our final year.
For sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's amazing.
Is it? Well, I know she does. Is it fun?
it's not as fun as it used to be, but it's still fun.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, when you don't have that initial blast of excitement
Right.
that you had, oh my God, and now if nobody comes in, it's like, I told you, that's not going to work. You're not even a special guest. Get out of here. but no, I mean, it's changed.
Okay.
The business has changed.
Right.
The country has changed
Yes.
in 30 years.
Yeah.
The city has changed. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
And that's why we're keeping, when we go out, the trademark. Because if we want to do a convention, but you move that wire racks to set up,
Exactly.
I'm a hand
We
model.
know.
Yeah.
You're a hand model.
I know. So you pinch your fingers and
I can't
shit.
hurt these babies.
Yeah.
No.
This is how we eat.
These are very important. I'll never play piano again.
No.
This is how we eat.
But we can go online. As long as we have that name, that trademark.
Yeah.
We're working on a product thing that we talked to you guys
Right,
about
exactly,
earlier. So
yeah.
we'll see if that comes through. That's the point.
Yeah.
But it has changed, and we've changed in the fact that I'm not 14 like when I started this. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah. Another.
I love it.
There's that frequency noise.
I love it.
I think you're picking something up from next
Oh,
door. I don't know what that laughter
I hope
is.
I'm picking this up. I hope I am.
But I mean, I'm turning 71 this year. She's what is it again? And
39.
39
Yeah.
again.
39. Yes.
That was the.
I
39.
like that number because I've got it memorized after all these years.
Yes.
39, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. 39. Yeah. I mean, I've been coming here for years. And it's funny, every time someone comes into town, I'm always like, well, we're going to go to Horror's mom and dad's store. That's what I always tell everyone. And it's funny because some people, they know right away, even though they've never been here.
Yeah.
And they're from East Coast or whatnot. They know exactly who I'm talking about.
Well, that's, one of the taglines originally we had was the home of horror.
Yeah.
And so, you're going home to mom and dad's
Exactly.
place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is grandpa and grandpa.
Now it's grandpa. Now it's great grandpa.
Which is just as cool,
It's still cool. That shows the longevity.
You still get your stories.
Great grandpa Ghoul and, his wife.
After you started, when did you notice it working? Like, oh my God, we got something here.
I haven't noticed it working
Well,
yet.
hopefully within the next 13 months.
Yeah, we don't have long to keep trying.
Yeah. 13 months, 25 days.
Because, honestly, it worked. I mean, it's supported us for
Yeah.
30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we'll come in on a Saturday morning and they'll be having a 3 o'clock signing that afternoon. And Sue will say to me, I wonder what it's going to be like today.
Yeah.
We don't have a handle.
Yeah.
No
it's just
kidding.
it's a gamble, right?
It is a gamble. And if they don't walk through the door, they don't walk through the door. There's
Right.
nothing. You push it, you announce it, you hope that the signer is pushing it and
Yeah.
announcing it.
Of course.
But outside of that, what do you do?
It's out of your hands after that.
But that is one thing I'm proud of, though, in 30 years, there may have been something for a charity or something, but we don't do any paid advertising.
Wow,
very
this is all just word of mouth.
It's all word of mouth, and thank God for the
that's the
web
best.
because we use every social platform.
Sure, yeah.
You
which
know,
is
we
smart. Wow,
can.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very weird. So if people don't come, it's in one way, it's our own damn fault.
Right, especially if you're pushing it yourselves. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just the word of mouth, man.
Yep.
It's great.
The book world has changed. I mean, that the whole thing of ordering books and selling horror, everything has gone. Now everybody's printing their own books, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
What do you mean?
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but in most cases, the books haven't been vetted. They haven't had an editor look at it.
Ouch.
It's like, I'm good enough to know how good I write. And I don't think there's anything written that couldn't use the steady hand of an editor as a third person to look at it from the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was
You
going to
know.
be my next question. When did the
Ducks
writing
don't
go?
have horns. Take that out of your book. You know, that kind
Oh,
of yeah.
I think you used 2 words when you wrote fuck. Or
Yeah.
2 F's, right? That's no. Amazon, you want to get in there and knock that out for me?
Yeah, they
But no.
don't do anything in the world of editing. I mean, now
No, and
there's
that's I've seen a lot of books come through. Where
what
I
is
was
it, Barnes and Noble? Now you can do.
Are you serious?
You can do your own printing, and they will. Here's the thing: at this point in time,
Sure.
Amazon is a really good deal to get your book printed and up there and in front of the public.
Yeah.
But that's the only place you can sell it.
Oh, wow.
Barnes
Really?
and Noble will print your book. They don't care where you take it.
Okay.
But I'd be willing to bet I know one place that won't take it. I'll bet you can't put it up on Amazon.
Yeah.
Nope.
You know, but you can
Conflict
do
of
anything.
interest.
Why, you can put it in stores. Oh, good. Who's your sales rep? Oh, no. You can put it in stores.
Exactly.
Right.
And what people don't get a good handle on is in self-publishing is that's not the end of the road.
No, you're the hustle.
You're
after
the
that.
hustle, and unless you want to have 200 boxes of your books in the living room,
You
Yeah.
gotta find a place to.
you
hawk
got to
those
find a
things.
place to hustle. What has surprised me at this point, and I don't know how much further from when we're recording it that it will be available to be heard, but nobody else has really started picking up the mantle of the signings.
Yeah.
And that's what we're known for.
Right.
You're not paying to park. You're not paying admission. You're not paying the signer because they're signing their product that they want to move.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my soundtrack album came out. The composer is there signing. Whatever.
Right.
All you have to do is buy the item that's being hawked by
Yeah.
them at that time.
Yeah.
You go to a convention and it's, $20 to park. It's $50 to walk
Just to
in.
get
It's
in.
$50 a signature.
Yeah.
You could come in here and get 8 signatures in
Right.
one day. And
Right.
Good.
it
Yeah.
just cost you the price of the DVD or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, the signings have always been super fun.
It's a steal. Yeah.
yeah.
And they feel more relaxed because they're not in a convention with a crowd coming at them.
Right.
They're sitting at a table among friends, and when they leave here, they can go get a drink or go to bed in their own
Exactly.
bed.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
you're flying them out
Yeah.
of town.
Yeah. And half the time, a lot of the signers hang out.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out with the fans and everyone else, and it's just.
more of an
I've gotten to know a
experience.
lot of people just from coming to the
Just
signings.
from being
and-
here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're super, super fun.
You know, and a lot of time, and it doesn't matter because we're here in Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
You can just walk in the door and Harry Manfredini might walk
Exactly.
in.
Yeah,
We
you're
try
right.
to discourage it from
Yeah,
him.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But
He's
he
always
might
showing off
walk
his
in.
cars.
This is his lighthouse.
I know.
But you were just saying, a little bit ago, Greg Nicotero stopped in, and
Right.
You don't know
He
who-
came in with Dana Gould.
yep, Dana Gould.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's just that wasn't a signing; it was just popping in.
No.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty cool.
they were like, oh, I need to get that, whatever, the new book.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
they'll
there's-
be talking to Sue about, I need to set up a signing for the book I have coming out or something
Right,
like that.
right. So, but there's got to be a part of you when this is done, you're going to miss all that.
I already,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I miss stuff already. It's kind of bittersweet. It's like,
sure.
I'm going to be like, oh, thank God in heaven.
Yeah.
If there only was one, I would thank you right now.
Well,
But
that's
it's
why.
like you see that finishing line now.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's-
There
it's
is
gotta-
that light at the end of the
Yeah.
tunnel.
Yeah.
But see, that's why
Come
I told
on,
you too.
your turn for a cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a while back on social media, you were posting a lot of pictures from past signings.
Right. Every once in a while, I just go, I'm going to pull out a couple of
Yeah,
historic
and I was
photos
like, oh my God, that would be a great way to end on like just a memories book of all of the past signings and just events and all
But the
kinds of
memories
stuff.
book is up there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's
yeah.
what's fun. And
Yeah.
a lot of those come out, I'll go, who the hell was that signing?
Yeah.
You know, I look at the picture and go, what?
But it's just such a neat glimpse to look
It
at
was
that.
Hilliard, what's his name, from the ghost hunting group. Or,
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's been 30 years
Yeah.
every weekend.
Yes.
And some weekends was Saturday and Sunday. One time, I think you had a Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
It was 5.
There was 5 in 1 week.
Jeez.
And you go,
That's a
yeah, I
marathon.
know them all by their first name. We send Christmas cards. No, fuck no, I don't know who. You know,
It's a big blur.
Yeah.
it is.
Wow. So in addition to everything else you're doing, you're also an author.
Yes.
I'm also an author. Well, that's what I say. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But my first published writing was in an anthology called, they used to do the erotic horror ones. Hot Blood. It was a
Okay.
whole series of
Oh, I've got one of those.
the Hot Blood. They were in a mass market paperback.
Yep.
And my first story published was in number 11, subtitled Strange Bedfellows.
Okay.
And it was edited by Michael Garrett and a guy named Jeff Gelb. And Jeff Gelb was here for the signing and some of the authors and stuff of an earlier one before I got in number 11.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, this is cool. I said, can I submit a story? He goes, in fact, right now we're looking at stories for number 11 if you want to go ahead and send one.
Okay.
And he ended up buying it reluctantly. He still has a scar on his neck from the knife.
Yeah.
And I said to him, would you like to do a book together? We could do an anthology, like you and Michael are doing it. Do you want?
Yeah.
And he said, sure, we could do that. And I obviously didn't have an agent, writing literary agent. So we used his. And I inherited his agent, Joshua Bilms, over at Jabberwocky in New York.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, I think we can sell that. Let me go to the different publishers and see what I can do. So we got a sale. They came back and they sent, I've never seen this in a contract before because I was nobody and the store wasn't world famous special super duper like it is now, you know. And they sent me with the contract a best effort clause in the contract. And that was, you will give your best effort to get at least 5 of these 12 authors to have a story in your book.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, how hard do I have to prove I tried?
Right. Exactly.
And my agent said, the way to prove you tried is that you get 5 of 12 of these authors and they're
get
in
them
your
in the
book.
book.
Yeah,
Holy
exactly.
shit.
Yeah.
So we did, and it was Nancy Holder and Brian Lumley and Ramsey Campbell, Ray Bradbury,
Big
Clive
names.
got
Wow.
in there. And once I had those 5, the book was sold. So then Jeff and I started looking for other. There was all original stories. We ended up doing 3 volumes. We put 2 of the publishers out of business. It was good. And then we bought, my agent had the thing in there that we could buy the rights to the book back.
Okay.
So we bought the books back, and they've been in publication ever since through my agent's publication company,
Yeah.
Jabberwocky.
Okay.
Okay.
And still available. It still sells okay. I mean, for what was that, 2005? 15? No? It had a 5 in it.
There was a 5 in there.
There was a 5. It was what?
It was 2003 was the first one.
There was no 5.
2003. But she misread that. You know how in writing a 5
It looks like
can look like a 3?
an upside down backwards.
Kind of with the
Yeah.
bumplies going and it was just,
I see what you meant.
But that was the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's much like her age. You know, it was 2000. Yeah.
I said 39. I said 39.
We're sticking with it.
We're sticking with 39.
And then when the books came out originally, they came out 2 years apart. Boom, boom,
Okay,
boom.
so that was
Okay.
fast.
2 years. It felt like an eternity to me because I had nothing in between, and I wanted to get more books done.
Sure, of
Blah, blah, blah.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was fun. And then I did another anthology with Midian Unmade with Clive Barker and Joe Nassis co-editing. And that was fun. It was a continuance of one of Clive Barker's stories. And it was after the end of it. what happened to the creatures.
Oh, wow.
So everybody wrote short stories on the creatures once they were kicked out of Midian, which was the underground city.
So the Cabal.
Cabal.
Yeah.
The story was Cabal. The movie had a different name, though.
Nightbreed.
Nightbreed. Yes, that's right.
That's cool, because that's...
And so every one of the stories was about one of the monsters who went from Midian,
That's awesome.
which was great. And that got published by Tor.
Okay.
And the interesting thing of that was Joe Nassis and myself were really the hands-on people. Clive wrote a introduction and collected his check, but it was damn nice of him.
Sure.
I mean, because it was his name that helped sell that son of a gun. And he approved the stories.
Okay.
So,
you know, because
that
you were
made sense.
taking...
We were doing the yeoman work.
Yes.
And he was. So we got in 4 or 5 stories, and then we realized we had to do something. So Joe Nassis and I made a deal. If I knew the author, he read the story. And if he knew the author, like a friend of his, I read the story blindly so that there was none of that involved.
Nepotism?
Right. None of the nepotism involved in that. It was based on the story. And we had to make sure we were doing one of each monster. We didn't want 15 stories about Clarabelle the Clown when, there's all these other characters.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did that, and what happened was we got down to where we just needed 6 stories. We had everyone that we had wanted and asked had submitted or had said they were submitting, and we had 6 spaces. And in those 6 spaces, we got 1,000 short stories.
No kidding.
Wow.
So we had to divide them in half, and we had to slowly work.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of diehards.
So
then what we would do is we'd each read 500 stories.
Yeah.
And then after we did that, we ourselves would pare down the stories we had read, and maybe we had 200 to 300 left out of that, and then we would switch the 200 to 300. So if you liked it and then I like it,
Right.
it then went into an even smaller pile.
Right.
Sure.
It was just whittling down.
Keep whittling down, and then we had to do. Don't we already have a story with that?
Some similarity
monster
stuff had to be
or
cut.
similar thing, and
Yeah.
then you cut that way until we got down to the.
Wow.
And how long was each short? Was it just...
It was the average short story, so it was running between 5 and 10,000 words, 5 and 7,000 words,
Sure.
whatever. I mean,
Still a lot
the
to read.
average
Yeah.
short story book is probably 80 to 90,000 words.
Sure.
So you're doing let's say 19 stories plus the foreword,
Yeah.
and turning it in.
That's
It
work.
was a lot of work, but man, did I learn stuff.
Sure. Absolutely.
It was.
Yeah,
It's like
that's-
they say, you're going to be on a soap opera. Yeah, but do you know how much you learn about acting and learning lines and being right Johnny on the spot and all
Again,
of that kind of thing?
You don't learn them unless you do.
That's
you
right.
know.
And you can read all the books about it you want.
Doesn't
but
matter,
It's the
yeah.
hands-on.
Yep, absolutely.
So-
and I know I've got several Del Howisons at home. you
See?
know.
Same.
I've bought many, and
So does Sue. Sometimes she has grumpy Del Howison, and sometimes she
she's
has
got
happy
many.
Del
sleepy and sneezy, and
So when did you do your solo?
The Survival of Margaret Thomas. My agent didn't want to do it because he doesn't handle Westerns.
Okay.
And I said, but it's really dark. It's really dark. And he goes, yeah, it's not. He is sci-fi and fantasy oriented.
Okay.
I just kind of backdoored in with Jeff Gelb in that original anthology deal that I got in on. I just kind of lucked in, and he couldn't open the door wide enough to kick me out, so I've been with the agency ever since. So I wrote that novel over a period of 5 years.
Wow.
yeah,
And then one of the other agents, Eddie Schneider, shout out Eddie, who was my agent and a sub-agent for the Jabberwocky at the time, he said, well, maybe I know someone who would take it, and it was a company called Blackstone.
Okay.
And they do a lot of audiobooks and stuff, too. In fact, they're more known for audio than print, but they were doing hardbacks at that time.
okay,
So he got in touch with his friend at Blackstone, and they go, no. But if you sell the book, we will do the audiobook. I said, it's an inn. We've got an inn
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That's something.
Yeah.
So then I went to a company called 5 Star that another friend of mine, Courtney Joyner, was a member of the Western Writers, and that was one of the arms, kind of the Western Writers, and sent it in, and they bought it. And she said, well, you have a bookstore. We normally they only do hardbacks.
Okay.
And they only sell to libraries. See, they don't sell to stores, so it's not getting your book, but you can get it out to all the libraries.
Sure.
And she said, we normally print 500, but because you have a bookstore, we're going to do a run of 1,000. So I got double the run, and I think to this day, last I asked them, there's 20 copies left of the 1,000.
Really?
But after the time period passed and we could get the rights back, then we bought the rights back, and Joe Lansdale's daughter, Casey, she started a press called Pandy Press.
Okay.
Which I hear is because everybody in their family has an animal nickname.
Okay.
You know, like, hey, Raccoon Dell, or whatever,
Wow.
whatever the hell that
yeah.
is. But hers was Pandy, so they named it Pandy Press.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her and a magician by the name of Jonathan Levitt, who is now her husband. And they started it and they bought it. All they had been selling at that time was Joe's books, her dad's books, keeping them in print, which is a very wise thing, so people can keep buying them. Or, oh, did you write other? He did the Hap and Leonard series,
Okay.
which was the TV series for a while.
Yeah.
So people want to go back and read the earlier ones, and then if they like Hap and Leonard, they want to read the other mysteries. And
Right.
he wrote one of the greatest Southern Gothic mystery books that I can say, which was called The Bottoms, which is an area called The Bottoms, kind of like in New Jersey, you have the woods and the different stuff, and it's great. So I said it goes on my shelf next to Hard as a Lonely Hunter and To Kill a Mockingbird. It's that kind of a book.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing book.
That's high praise.
So, and Joe was one of the first people to give me a blurb on the hardback before I was ever involved in anything else.
Sure.
So she put that out, and it is currently in print as we speak and available
Very
with Pandy
cool.
Press. But that was 5 years of writing, and now it's like I used to write and send it out and then go, okay, I'm
Yeah.
waiting to hear something.
Oh, gosh.
Come on.
All too well.
Yes.
Back in the days when you had a brown envelope show up in your mailbox.
Yep.
Yeah.
Self-addressed and all that.
Self-addressed, because you would put it in the one you sent to them.
Yep.
And they put your manuscript back in, sent it back to you, and said, no.
No,
No,
thanks.
thank you.
No,
thanks.
thank you.
No, thanks.
So, yeah, you got the rejection envelope. That's the one you signed to yourself.
Yep,
Nice.
pretty much.
So, yeah, and that's where it's at now. But now I'm writing on a regular basis. I have 3 novels going. I have
Excellent.
4 things, short stories and stuff. Oh, wait, and a podcast.
Yeah,
5 things
5
coming out
things
this
going.
year.
5.
Yeah.
Same amount of fingers on
Yeah.
that.
That's right. Are you a hand model?
I know one.
He's learning.
You know one.
He's
know.
learning.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the ropes, but learning by doing. Look,
Watch that trimming.
Yeah,
on
you
the
got to be
nails
careful
when
with the nails,
that's
man.
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I need
you
to
don't
get rid
mess
of
with
that.
these
Do
things.
you do the thing like Madge? She would always bring that little bowl in the commercial.
Oh, sure, and just tap them in a little
Just
bit.
tap it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Palm olive?
Fabulous.
They look fantastic.
These look good.
So, I mean, you answered my question of what are you doing now? So,
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm writing all the time.
yeah.
I'm doing film work when somebody doesn't have any money of any renown and wants to hire someone. Because most stuff I do obviously is like a scene, a cameo,
Right.
whatever. Last thing I did was in a film called Transmission, which has a lot of people in it you'd probably know. And that film debuted last year in London at the Horror Sci-Fi
Fest?
Festival, whatever
Yeah.
it is they call it.
Fright Fest,
It premiered in the Midnight Spot in London. So
Okay.
that
Wow,
was
that's
kind
a
of fun.
nice. That's a big room too.
I've been catching you here and there on my Friday the 13th Scream Factory box
There
set,
you go.
know.
We've got the
You got
interview.
interviews, and you've been involved in some commentaries, I believe. Too.
Did the commentary with what's his name that wrote the book on Friday the 13th,
Yes.
the first book.
Yep.
And then they did a little extra film about like Freddie in town doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I was one of the guys. He seemed like a good guy. We used to go bowling together,
Yep,
you know, that
yep.
kind of thing. So, yeah.
No, it's just one of those deals where I'm ticking through some of the bonus features, and I'm like, that's Dell. Holy shit.
No, he always pops up.
Yep.
So,
does.
David Scow comments about this all the time, but I feel like it too. David Scow goes, in books, in anthologies, he goes, you can always find me because I'm listed as and others.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like a
I've
Disney
seen him
character.
everywhere.
You know, they go and many more,
And many more.
many more.
Yeah. How cool.
Okay. Well,
So, yeah, you know, like Transmission, they got some reviews because it was that festival, which is known.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
festival's known, and in an interview, that part where they said, "And who's that other guy?" That was me.
Others.
We know the
many
other guy.
more.
Yeah, many more.
We do know
others.
that guy and many more.
Isn't he a hand model? I know that's what
He
you were
knows
saying.
that. He
That's
knows-
where I know his work from.
That's why I recognize him every
That's
time.
where I know his work from. Houston, wasn't it? The Houston
Yeah,
Chronicle?
holding a newspaper. I remember that.
That's the guy. I still have the poster in my room.
Yes, exactly.
It's a blow up.
He just won't sign it.
I might, you have to hold a pen.
Yeah,
That's right.
we need someone
I
else to do it for him.
Because it makes a little mark where you hold the pen in your
Oh,
hand
yeah,
like
you-
that, on the side of your finger.
You don't want to get ink on it or anything.
No.
But no, I for one, I think it's great that we got to interview you. And,
Yeah, I'm very.
It's fun, huh?
We'd love to do it again sometime. Come back as that dreaded day comes closer. You know, the end of Dark Delicacies,
The end of the darkness.
the end of the darkness, and yeah.
Actually, I understand this interview being the mulligan, so you could use the store to interview Harry and
This was
No, I said it from jump. I was like,
no. It's like this is going to be
yeah, this was my favorite one.
This was
this
gonna
is
be
the
a
one I was looking forward
great
to. This is what I
interview.
wanted to do.
we have to
We were
come
gonna
out with a
laugh our
bang.
asses
Yes. Yeah, I was so excited
It's
for
all
this
right
one.
because while Harry and I were in the back room and you were doing your interview out here, we were drinking a beer, so it didn't fucking matter.
I
what
know.
you did,
I was
Not
like,
at all.
when you guys walked out with beers, I was like,
was
well,
like,
we
oh,
fucked up.
this
And Harry comes out parading his red stripe.
Or you look at it and go, this is going to be an even better interview. He's a little bit sauced now. This is
Yeah.
great.
He's getting a little sussy.
No, he's right, man. I can't thank you enough for letting us do this.
It's
This
so
was
Not
really
a problem.
fun.
And we got closing time looming upon us, so I'm gonna grab some
You
some
got
merch.
stuff? Okay, all right then. Well,
All right, so we will sign off sayonara and
Yes.
do this again sometime.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
And you guys be sure to send all your emails of going, that is the best fucking interview I've ever heard to
5195podcast@gmail.com.
holy moly. That just rolls off his tongue.
It does. I usually use it as blackmail.
Wait, I
but
want to do something in
Yeah.
his announcer voice. So anyway, how long have you been in this industry?
have you enjoyed being on NPR this afternoon?
NPR.
NPR.
Sign off as Mr. Sweeney.
Well, we could as
Yeah.
Cliff.
Go for it.
We could do a Cliff one like, geez, I haven't done that in so long. I have to find it
Oh,
again.
we got time. We can time.
I don't know. That's a good idea, but I don't think I can find it right.
I can edit, so we got time.
The one from Cheers.
I don't even. What is it?
Oh, not Cheers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff Craven.
Cliff Clavin.
Talk to, there was Mr. Haney. She likes Mr. Haney.
Mr. Haney.
That's
okay.
right. Mr. Douglas, I have to tell you we're selling this fine piece.
That's fantastic. Hey, Mr. Haney used to do westerns back in the day.
He did. He
Little
was-
known fact.
He was like the sidekick of Roy Rogers or Gene Autry or one of them.
He was the voice that always needed just a hint of oil. You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right. It's a little squeaky right now.
Sayonara.
Oh my God. Awesome.
No,
Well,
super cool, man.
But had fun though. Thank you.
awesome.
Glad.
Good. No dumb
Glad.
questions.
No dumb questions.
All right.
Only dumb answers.
Only dumb answers.
Until next time.
See you guys.